The answer to 1984 is 1776.
Okay, I want to play this 5-minute audio video of one of the answer to 1984 1776 contest. You can physically go out and protest and videotape the Homeland Security takeover, the rollout of TSA on the streets of America, and videotape it and have a submission. You can do a fictional video with actors. You can do an animation. You've got a couple more weeks to get your submissions in. The V for Victory campaign can be incorporated into this, but doesn't have to be. That's a separate program, and there, there's not prize money to do that. That's if you believe in activism and to expose the fact that we know that a federal takeover is happening in our society by posting V posters everywhere with a short message about tyranny. It gets the media talking, it gets locals talking to force this issue out there into public debate, just like we've done in the last year and a half, pushing with different contests and things dealing with the TSA. And you've done a great job. And it's showing people the power of going out with true activism, not just protesting in D.C. and then the media ignores it, but in your towns, in your cities, in your counties. That's where the real power is. And people really pay attention to political flyers being put up outside of the political season. Stuff that isn't left-right paradigm. And the system wants to keep you in the left-right paradigm. Now, this submission, I'm playing it. I'm going to play some other, good ones coming up in the next week because it's so well done, and it really illustrates everything. It's not as powerful with the audio on radio, so I'll have to voice over some of it because, it builds up the atmosphere with a fellow sitting in a park. If you're a radio listener, you can go see the video on Infowars.com. It's called A Day in the Park. He's there drinking a hot drink, a coffee, and he's looking at the American flag waving in the park, smiling at it. It's a nice day, and then he's looking at a surveillance camera watching him, and he just feels like swearing allegiance to the flag. And whatever you think about swearing allegiance to the flag, the point is it symbolizes our Bill of Rights, our Constitution, and there is an attack on that culture. And the flag can be used by the globalists for war and things, but we're not talking about the American flag they've expropriated. We're talking about taking it back in the spirit of 1776. And then all of a sudden, a Homeland Security Patrol pulls up and says, "Sir, what were you just now doing?" And it's basically what the Southern Poverty Law Center and ADL do. It's how they spin states wanting their sovereignty back. That's how they spin Second Amendment groups. It's how they spin radio talk show hosts, how they try to imply everything is violent and bad. And you got Cass Sunstein saying, arrest people that disagree with the government, and he's the White House regulations are. So this is something very real. They've already, in these Homeland Security flyers, and we've posted them on the website, they tell citizens, the Homeland Security flyers put out in Oklahoma and other states and Texas say, is your neighbor talking about controversial political issues? Go ahead and call Homeland Security on them. So this is not a stretch. And so the car pulls up, they get in his face, and then they pull down the American flag, and they run up a UN flag, a metal flag that's more like a weather vane. And the guy cries, and then he turns and looks at the surveillance camera and sees tacked on the side of it, somebody else was already awake to what's happening. There's a V for Victory poster, and that's the message. This takeover's happening. There are other people out there that are awake. You're not alone, buddy. What you just saw, connect with the patriots. Go read the flyer. Find out who they are. Get together. You are occupied like the French by the Nazis. That's the message of the V for Victory campaign. This is one of the best submissions we've gotten. There's a bunch of other ones that are just as good. I mean, this is really going to be tough choosing the winner, but I'm not even thinking about who the winner is. I have an open mind until you have about a week and a half, 2 weeks to get the rest of your video submissions in. And there's links up on Infowars.com and PrisonPlanet.com every day when we post new submissions up there to where you can email those to us. But again, it's going out, making a video however you want, the sky's the limit, and then putting it on a major video sharing site like YouTube, and then sending us that link. YouTube is preferable because you have the best potential to go viral there. But let's go ahead and play this clip. And again, I'll be voicing over some of it for radio listeners because a lot of it's just him. They're sitting in the park with the birds tweeting, "Here is a day in the park." He's just sitting there on the bench. Birds are tweeting, singing. There's a little cabana and an American flag and some trees. Ah, nice hot coffee. Taking a lunch break. But he looks over at the surveillance camera. And he's thinking, how is this America? Land of the free, home of the brave. There's a surveillance camera. Letting him know Big Brother's watching him.
Let's see. How does that go? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. I think...
Here comes a police car, Homeland Security. They've got face visors on.
Excuse me, sir. Good morning. Homeland Security Patrol. We just happened to notice you stood and said something just now. A public statement of some kind. May we ask you to explain your public statement?
I was pledging allegiance.
Pledging?
Yes.
Allegiance to whom?
To the flag.
By flag, you mean...
The American flag.
Oh, that, I see. Were you sincere in this pledge of your allegiance, sir?
Yes, of course I was.
By sincerely pledging this allegiance of yours, are you implying that other flags aren't worthy of allegiance?
No, I'm just sincere in my allegiance to that particular flag.
Expresses public hatred for flags of other countries.
That's not what I said.
Aggressive, suddenly denies expression of hatred.
I'm an American. I love America.
Isolationist rhetoric.
Come on, what?
Publicly abhors diversity.
Right-winger.
What's wrong with my pledging allegiance to the flag of my country?
Oh, and that other thing, you mentioned someone that you were standing under? Something like that?
Well, under God.
God, I see. And exactly which God would that be referring to?
Which God? God.
Bible thumper.
The God of our forefathers.
You know, religious bigotry is kind of frowned upon around here, sir.
Come on, guys. We hold these truths to be self-evident that all men are created equal, endowed by their Creator with certain inalienable rights. That's the Declaration of Independence.
Oh, yeah. The Constitution.
Teabagger.
And all that old stuff. Give me a break.
Look, officer, what exactly is the problem here?
Are you challenging my authority, sir?
He's got his hand on the taser.
Answer the man, John Wayne.
No, I'm just unclear what's going on here.
Actively tries to deflect focus from public impropriety.
Impropriety?
Feigns ignorance. You're pushing it, pal.
Have I done something wrong, officer?
What's in the cup?
Coffee?
Where did you procure that?
I bought it at a coffee shop down the block.
He's high on something.
Unknown substance. Attempt to conceal.
I wasn't concealing anything.
Denies concealing unknown substance.
What?
Look, buddy, you've dug yourself in pretty deep here. Now, I'm specially trained to spot people who may be contemplating acts of terrorism. I'd think long and hard if I were you about saying another word. I thought so. If we didn't have more pressing matters,
Come on, man. Let's do this.
Okay.
It's in the trunk. I'll get it. So only take a minute.
They take down the American flag and run up a metal UN flag, like a metal shingle or weather vane.
Officer, why did you take down that flag and replace it with...
That flag's better. It's metal, so it won't burn.
What do you want to do with this thing?
Throw it in the trunk. We'll need something to wash the car with.
All right. See you around, whack job.
And he looks at the surveillance camera and down at the bottom, and there's a V for Victory sign tacked on it. Now he understands he's occupied. What's so incredible about this little 5-minute piece is that almost everything in it is actually happening. The UN says that if you're for one religion, that's bigoted towards others. More and more police are wearing ski masks just in public and obscuring their faces. Even if you're an atheist, a lot of atheists have gotten mad by this video. By saying you're under God, that means the state isn't above you and that your rights come from God, not the state. Hope folks understand that. And just expanding on it, multiple times, Aaron and Rob Jacobson were in Kansas City, a half-mile away from the Federal Reserve, at a city park on a sidewalk, shooting video at a distance of the Federal Reserve building. They'd already been there and shot some video. And a car pulls up, and people get out armed, federal security guards with guns, and say, give us your IDs. And they go ahead and do that, even though they had no authority. And then they say, now leave. And they said, well, no, we're at a city park. And they said, okay. And they started pulling their guns out. And so my guys left, and we put the video on YouTube, and the Kansas City Star reported on it and did point out they had no authority and it was wrong. Then the Federal Reserve tried to deny that even done it, though we had the video. And so it's worse than that. I mean, security guards just show up and say, leave. You got two nicely dressed, short-haired. I mean, can you imagine what minorities must go through, or people that don't look like, kind of conservative? They're just like, what? We're just here videotaping. They're like, I told you, leave. And the hands go to the weapons. I mean, it's just total tyranny. And so that is what they're setting up right there. As hardcore as the video seems, it's actually worse in many respects. And what that flag symbolizes is being destroyed.